The interesting part was when SZA broke down the way that she writes and records, and she from the lens of other artists.
I thought that was super interesting.
That was
Yeah.
interesting because she said, she's too honest. Sometimes she wrote a song last summer that was too honest. She said, and she couldn't put it out. She was in there telling on herself, and she said she can't stop because she is bored. And she was like, I like to tell on myself. It's like I have to tell on myself so I'm not bored because otherwise I'm just like, what's the point? I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And her saying that she, I guess I shouldn't look through it. I guess I shouldn't look through my eyes. I should look through somebody else's as a way of writing and recording her art and her music. She pretends to be Frank Ocean or Future. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and
I wasn't expecting, SZA to say something like that, but that was an interesting angle because sometimes it is kind of tough if you're a person that is very vulnerable. Sometimes you're like, nah, I can't give all of this.
or critical of yourself. Like what I thought was so interesting about her writing from other artists' point of view, like Frank or Future, is she said it was much easier. And I think how I interpreted that was it's you don't have to acknowledge your faults because now you're pretending to be somebody else.
Mhm.
You can deal with their bullshit because it's not actually yours.
Yeah.
Instead of having to face the own critical issues you have with yourself,
Mhm.
especially when you're sitting in the studio. Like, yo, I think she brought us some examples that she said she's super selfish,
Mhm.
Codependent. people pleaser.
she's a people pleaser. A lot of that stuff is tough to face and then try to fix because that's a whole nother journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me get on here and I can see how other artists live and how they, put their point of view out there. I'll just write from that.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
I'll go listen to Future and just pen something that's similar to what he talks about.
It's like that self-awareness convo that we had. It's really interesting to see this from like the artist writing standpoint.
Yeah. When she said, why am I trying to not be human so bad? Because it hurts so damn bad. But that's the job. No matter how many spirits you talk to or anything like that, it just doesn't matter. You have to be here. You're going to be in the either eventually. It's just not now. So it's like, yeah, like why am I running from my own vulnerability so much? Like
it's what you and I talk about a lot. Self-awareness can actually cause depression when you start to be super aware of the negative things about yourself. It just makes you hate yourself even more. It's like, all right, is it worth even fixing? Let me just go pretend like it's not there and just be somebody else. And that way I don't have to suffer from it.
Now that the more that I'm rereading this, I know it was a Kendrick interview, but SZA is pretty fucking vulnerable throughout this entire thing. She said to whatever she was responding to, she said, that's what I feel like I suffer from. I'm not teachable for real. That's my problem because I'm always like in my fear to do some shit. Like that's to say that just so directly. That is awesome. SZA to me like really spoke out and spoke up about herself.
I like when she said she has a low pain tolerance but a high competition tolerance.
Yeah.
I like that.
And she said, I don't even understand what that means. I got what she was trying to say. That it's not a sensitive bully per se, but you're so competitive that you're constantly trying to keep up with everyone, but you can't really deal with what comes with that competition. Like you may not be built to handle the pain that comes with always having to compete, which I thought was brilliant. And even Kendrick asked her some great questions. Demaris, did you read the part about her mom?
Oh my God, I love that part.
No, I don't think I got to that.
It's in the beginning.
So essentially, well, why I asked you, Demaris? Because it was.
Oh, I did read that part. I did. Well, she said her mother was she's her ancestors', greatest dreams because her mother didn't have the ability to be able to be a bitch and to be able to stand on her shit because she was fighting for like integration of schools and things like that.
And always had to monitor herself to make sure she wasn't being too aggressive or being too much of a quote unquote bitch. Like she could never really express herself fully.
Yeah.
Because her entire life and her generation as a Black woman, she just had to be quiet.
Growing up in the 50s, she said, yeah.
So, I mean, again, that's kind of why I like this artist and artist thing. Because as we know, these two are like some of the best writers we've had in our generation. So to have them talk back and forth deeper into their writing, I absolutely love. I want more of this type of combo between great writers.
Yeah, I know the conversation that they had was much longer than this editorial was, but I like the fact that they sat down and agreed to have this, some of the conversation published so that we can get a glimpse into the type of conversation that they have. I thought it was dope.
I thought Kendrick did a really cool job of extending the Father Time song with Sampha on Mr. Morale when he talks about his pops. And like, you know, a lot of us have that similar story where your dad raises you to not be weak. Like, don't show emotions, don't cry. Like, I'm preparing you for a world that does not give a fuck about you. So you need to be a man. And Kendrick discussing that his pops taught him that and like hard work, and his dad was always there for the family, but didn't prepare him to be vulnerable. And his job is vulnerability. Like his dad was raising him to go into the workforce. Like Kendrick would have been great at the factory with the shit that his dad taught him. Work ethic, masculinity, everything. But he's a rapper. His whole entire job and to even grow his catalog is to be more vulnerable. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like a lot of our parents, even when they're great, raise us for something that isn't really our destiny. Like it's not my destiny to go be the super masculine guy that hides his feelings and does great on Wall Street. Like, no, I gotta fucking come on a podcast and talk about my feelings.
Yeah, because
like,
to what Kendrick's
to grow this, I have to get more vulnerable and know more about myself to talk on this microphone.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really cool point.
To be great at your craft, you have to be vulnerable. Yeah. So this is, I mean, at first all I knew was masculinity. I always kept the walls up because of my pops. But the more I delved deeper into my music, the more expressive I had to get with myself. That is the feminine energy right there. So yeah, the ability to be a man, but to become a better artist and be a better person, you need to also tap into the side where, you know, the feminine energy, so to speak.
Which I think that I don't know if SZA had to deal with it, but I've heard a lot of Black women, maybe like older millennials and like middle millennial Black women talk about that same thing, because a lot of them were raised like men, as if like this world does not give a fuck about you. I know a lot of my older cousins and my aunts were just like, this world don't care about you. So all the tears, all the softness, all that you have, you got to lock that shit up. So then you come out and people are dating these women and they're like, why are you so masculine? It's like, we were taught the same way that y'all were taught. The world doesn't give a fuck about us. We can't cry. We can't be soft. We got to make money so that nobody can tell us what the fuck to do. So
when they say this world, do they just be talking about like America?
What do you mean?
Like, because I feel like there's people that live in other countries that don't have the same, because they don't live in a capitalistic society like we do.
Of course, but that's not our world.
So they don't have those stresses and those, you know, those type of things pulling at them.
And then there's also places in the world that don't have the luxury of feelings to begin with, because it's about survival completely. Like, even though America is completely fucked up in a lot of places, we do have the privilege of being able to explore feelings to some degree. I mean, of course, there's people that are starving and fighting every day and don't have time to do anything feeling related in America. But overall, compared to the rest of the world, this is an American thing.
The chasing of dreams is an American thing,
which is a luxury.
Yes.
But there's a luxury part with, you still have to abide by the how this country was built. There's also like the stigmas and everything that comes with that. And, you know, it's just, I don't know. That's a whole other
there's a universal thing where you shouldn't be too vulnerable publicly. Like, I think that's just a thing in life. Like, you shouldn't be, you know, like if you're going to work, like, and then you're at your cubicle at your desk crying, I don't think that's a healthy thing.
I mean, if it's an everyday thing, no, I agree with you.
Crying is healthy, but like if you at your desk and just crying in front of everybody, it's kind of like, I don't know if that's a good idea.
You
can do that in the bathroom. You can do that on the way to work, and you know, when you get home. But in front of others, I just think that shows a sign of weakness on whatever part, like whether it's a mental weakness, whether it's an emotional weakness.
But I think that's also the exact opposite, because I think it takes more strength to cry in front of somebody. I think hiding your emotions all the time is weak. Hiding them, like, sometimes, yes, not everyone.
But everybody don't deserve your emotions, though.
No, but yes, I agree. Everybody doesn't deserve your emotions, and there should be times where, you know, it's like Rory said, it shouldn't be an everyday thing. But there are people who you shouldn't hide your emotions all the time, because if you hide your emotions all the time, then that's how we have all these people committing taking themselves out.
Yeah.
And people were like, well, they seemed like the happiest person in the world. And it's like, because nobody ever knew what they were feeling. It's okay to share your emotions. Can it be used against you? Yes. But sometimes if I'm at my desk here and I break down and cry, I don't think that makes me weak. I think that in that moment, that's what I needed to do. And it would be much easier for me to go in the bathroom and cry than to cry in front of y'all. I don't think that crying in public makes you weak.
But you do have to practice emotional intelligence at some point, though. Like, I don't think you can just be like vulnerable and,
I think that's part of the journey of vulnerability is exploring those feelings. And then, yes, you'll get to a place where you can manage them way different. Because I agree, no matter what, like, as much as this is great with our generation that we are so vulnerable and cool with feelings, we still have a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't always be super emotional to get a job done. Like, it's a balance that you need to learn. But if somebody's having like just a fucking awful week and they just can't take it and break down one time at work, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If that's who they are all the time, like we can't even get to a fucking marketing meeting because Jan's always crying. Like then I think, Jan should be fired and probably find a different job because she can't manage her feelings here.
Yeah, but it's like if you're crying like that
Jan.
at work, it's nothing wrong with you crying at work. But there's something wrong if you're crying at work. There's something seriously wrong. And you need to check that, what that is, whatever that is. Like if you're in the workspace or wherever just crying, it's like, all right, let it out because you need to, but like there's something wrong. Like what is the problem?
Well, they're crying, so there's obviously something wrong.
But that's why I said practicing emotional intelligence is a thing that people need to do because you don't need to be doing that in front of a bunch of people that one don't deserve it, two probably can't do nothing for you, can't help your situation.
Mm-hmm.
So when they say people don't give a fuck, people don't. I think that's where it comes from because it's like a lot of times we all have our own emotions and things that we're dealing with. We all have our own lives and things that we're dealing with. So I might not even be available to help you in your moment because it's like, nigga, I'm right with you. I'm ready to cry right here too, but I can't.
But and that's and see, this is another thing too, and I feel like men really have this issue. Tears don't always need to be fixed. It's like if it's raining, like there's nothing you can do about it. It's coming. So you saying I can't help you because you're crying, just because I'm crying doesn't mean that I need you to help me. Same way when you see people on the subway crying and we all ignore them and just be like, girl, I feel you. That's it. Like
you get off. Nigga crying on the train. I'm off at the next stop. You about to do something.
This is an act.
Yeah, all right, fam.
He's not having a mental health
this
day.
This happens right before you shoot up the whole
car.
His
hand is in his pocket.
Yeah. He got a trench on.
Not a tissue.
90 degrees outside. I'm cool. Next stop is mine.
I agree with you, Demaris, but there are different levels to that. Yeah, sometimes you just need to cleanse, just need to cry, just need to get certain things out, which I practice in relationships of like, do you just need to vent or do you want to fix the problem? Asking that in the beginning. Because some people I agree, y'all just got to cry today and just get this shit out. I'll feel better. But to Maul's point, a lot of people do want to fix the problem. And if I'm going through my shit quiet as fuck, I can't also be here and carry your baggage too. I got enough of my own fucking baggage.
Yeah.
Like I don't project my shit on other people because I know they're going through other stuff, which probably isn't healthy. But, I'm on the journey with Bazaar too.
Yeah.
Not Kendrick.
Who else would you guys like to see do something like this? I like the Rick Rubin and Andre 3000 article a few years ago. I thought that was great. I did just see a clip. I think it was Metro and Timberland. We're having
oh, really?
A convo back and forth. Because again, it's not an interview per se. But what artists would you guys like to see together on this?
I mean, the most obvious for me would be I would love to see Jay-Z interview Beyonce. I think that
they did that shit on the outro of Everything Is Love.
No, I mean like over.
They went back and forth like kissing styles about their problems. You thought Martha was bad.
Not like that. Well, like an actual business interview.
Yeah.
I think that would be good. But I feel like that's the obvious one. What about you?
I mean, I don't want to lead the transition here, but I think a Tyler the Creator Pharrell one would be great.
I agree.
I would like to see.
They did something like that already, though.
Yeah, I'd like to see. My thing with these, I love the Kendrick system was cool, but what I would be more interested in is finding someone that idolized someone and now is an established star and having them go face to face with their idol and have the opportunity to just have that moment with them. And just speak freely to them. So I think that would be cool. I'm trying to think of other artists where that would make sense. A younger artist
Can we have Nas interview J. Cole? Post beef.
After you let him down?
Mm-mm.
Think he let Nas down again?
Practicing emotional intelligence, Julian. I didn't say anything. I got a lot I could have said right there. I could have trauma dumped on you just now, and I didn't.
No, Rory and